Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Next Level Real Talk Podcast, where we have conversations on the journey of personal transformation and the pursuit of lasting peace and happiness with Sheldon and David. Hey, 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 welcome back. Thanks for
Here we
joining us
are.
again. Here we are, Next Level Real Talk with Sheldon and David.
Thanks for coming back. Hope you're having a great time listening to our podcasts and we're ready for a new show today.
And those of you who are listening, wow, amazing. Thank you. Yes. I'm
Yes.
always amazed that people are actually listening. So that's cool. um, we were going to talk about the power of surrender in this particular episode. And what does
Yes.
that actually mean? For some of you, that might be something you've never heard of before. For some of us, it's something that you might hear of, but how do you do it? What is it exactly? How does it really work? I do think that there's some dynamics in that idea of surrender that sometimes people think they're surrendering when they're really not.
Mm-hmm.
And, in the 12 steps, they talk about surrendering to a higher power, releasing, and, I screwed up my life. I made a mess. I can't fix it.
Yeah.
I give it up to a higher power to fix. That is, to me, is the idea. And how do you go about doing that? I do think that that's actually one of the things that is so powerful about 12 steps, and it's not perfect for everybody. It doesn't have 100%. But one of the things is that people that are oftentimes at the very, 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 very end of the rope, that
Mm-hmm.
literally are at the bottom of the bottom of bottom. They've hit rock bottom and there's nothing left to fall back on in terms of their ego mind. Like, I can handle this. I can fix it. I can make it right. Just let me do it. I know how to do this. I got the plan. I know what I'm doing. All of that stuff. That's all ego. And they
Mm-hmm.
just go, help. I
Yeah, they're
need
at the end.
help. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because
They're
they're
at
at
the
the
end
end
of
and
the
they
rope.
they truly surrender and say, please help. And phew, light rushes
Yeah.
in, this energy rushes in, and they are helped because they were really sincere and open in that purity of that surrender.
And they stop fighting within. And that's the judging themselves or suppressing what's going on, which should be judging if you let it out. You're
Yep.
gonna start judging yourself. So they're trying to suppress it so they don't judge per se.
Yep.
But then again, they're holding it in and you're not releasing it and relaxing. So then once they do say, I'm done, then it's like, oh, I can relax.
Yeah.
And then they start going, okay, this is okay. Some of it hurts. It hurts to get to that point.
Yeah.
But that's what we'll talk about today, a little bit about, sometimes it's tough with surrendering. But once you get to that point, there's such a relief. And it's such a like, okay, this is the situation. Let's move forward now and go on.
And I think that that's part of why people that haven't really hit rock bottom have a hard time turning in. We were talking about in the
Hmm.
last episode about really turning in and looking and taking responsibility for where you are and accepting it and saying, okay, this is where I'm at.
Hmm.
Where's my role in where I'm at and how can I shift, how I'm looking at what's coming up for me. Right. And how can I do that? And people don't do that because it's like, I got this, I can handle it. I can handle it. I can handle it. And
Hmm.
that's this idea of I
And
want control.
a big thing is accepting where you are,
Yeah.
because we sometimes don't accept what we are, where we are, and just who we are. I mean, we all are great in our own different ways. We just got to
Yep.
understand. And I don't know if you want me to talk about that story with my
Sure.
um, with Josh, or want me to do the.
Sure.
Well, let me. A friend of mine sent a text. One of my guys that was in our Bible study for many, and he's been out of town, but it was pretty cool. He sent this. It says, "This is a way of surrendering and saying this, accept who you are." It's very beautiful. Um,
And the funny thing was because we were talking about surrender for this
mhm.
show, and then the next day you get this text, right?
Yeah, I got this yesterday. Yeah, totally got this last night. It says, "Just me and him in his peace. We are all tired. Really, we are. It's a hard road, but it's also a beautiful one. Perhaps we expect too much from ourselves and from others. Perhaps humanity can only make slow progress like an inchworm. Perhaps we need to celebrate how far we have come more often and rest more and relish in the simple pleasures and look for the love everywhere. There is a river near where I live." He's talking now. There's a river where I live. It meanders slowly, peacefully. It doesn't ask. It doesn't ask itself why it isn't an ocean or a raging river or some other thing. It just surrenders to what it is. Maybe we just need to surrender more to who we are. I think I will lie down tomorrow beside the river and take a rest in sweet surrender. May the paw um, May me pause and reflect on who I am in God's eyes, not the eyes of those in this world, or worse, my own eyes. The part about the river, so good. Let's just be the river today.
Ooh,
So he's talking about
beautiful.
like that river. The river is the river. It's you're not. You are who you are. You have to accept who you are. And sometimes in this world, it's the Joneses. We're looking at the Joneses. Now, what are they doing? What are they doing? What are they? And where are they at? And I when I read that, I was like, wow, that is so deep because you just got to accept of where we are. Um, and I'll talk about the story I was telling about Josh, my son-in-law Josh. Now, he is a very smart individual, engineer, true rocket scientist. Um, and of course, I'm obviously much older than him, and I'm like, wow, he's a very smart guy. But I could look at him and go like, I could never be that smart. I couldn't go there and build a rocket, triple E engineer doing circuits. I'd blow stuff up somewhere, the wrong way. I'd blow stuff, boom. But he has that knowledge and he has that, and so I could look at it that way. It's like he's so much smarter than me. I'll never reach that level. But then again, I'm smart in my own way.
Mhm.
Would he be able to do the teaching that I do? Would he be able to do the coaching that I do? Would he be able to do the things that I do? We're all special in our own way, and we have to accept who we are.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not. I'm not that military person like my dad and my brother are. I wouldn't make it that way. That's not me. I was the one that went to college and wound up with a teaching degree, which I love it, and that's me. I could always look at someone else in a negative, like, golly, they're always doing so much better than me. But you have to accept where you are
But our
first.
brain
And
does
once you
that,
do that,
doesn't it?
every day, every day.
Yeah.
I do that every day. Is like I'll question myself. Am I worthy? It's like, no, you're okay. It's
Yeah.
okay to do that. And can I go with it? Okay, I'm gonna go. This is gonna date me right here. Guy Smalley. Okay, all of you are shaking your head
Stuart
right now
Smalley.
that know this. Stuart, sorry,
Stuart.
Stuart Smalley. On Saturday Night Live, and the daily affirmation. And you guys know what I'm gonna say. Those that don't
For
know
those
who
of you
Stuart
who
Smalley,
know, you know. And so
yeah,
maybe we'll put a link down below about a
yes,
Stuart Smalley clip. And if you don't, if you're young and you don't know who Stuart Smalley is, you can go on YouTube and just do
yeah,
Stuart Smalley Daily Affirmations
yes,
SNL or whatever,
because they're
and he'll come
awesome.
up. He's
Because he
absolutely
does,
hilarious.
because and what he says is what I totally. It's like you look in the mirror. He looks in the mirror and he goes, I'm good enough. I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me.
Yes.
And sometimes you can just say like, hey, I'm okay.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, I don't compare to Josh on that level. If my brain's only thinking about how smart I am, and I look at Josh and go like, God, he's so much. I'll never be that. It brings me down. It's like, no, he's smart. Accept that he's smart in a different way. Oh, I'd love to be that smart in that way too, but I'm okay where I am because that's how
Yeah.
God made me.
Yeah.
God made me, not him. I mean, he's he and I'm me. So we got to accept. We just have to sit down and accept who we are and be
Yeah.
okay with that.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to make hundred thousands of dollars a year. No, I'm a teacher.
Yeah.
Welcome. But I knew that going in, and so
And yet
I
you
think
should,
that's
because teaching is one of the most
yes.
important roles there is in the world. Shaping
hmm
our young folks, we need to honor that and recalibrate that. That needs to be recalibrated. But in
Thank you.
today's
Yeah,
world,
today's world.
it
Yeah.
is what it is,
So
right?
as I read that little text from a friend and I talk about my situation, I hope you all out there just start to accept just who you are. It's okay. Wherever you are, whatever the situation is, that's where you are at this moment, and that's who you are. I never thought I'd be doing teaching or coaching. That
Or
wasn't where my
podcasting.
goals were, or broadcasting exactly.
Podcast.
Never thought those, and here I am. A teacher, retired teacher now, back as a librarian, and I've coached multiple sports, and it's like, wow, that was my talent that God gave me. Not that
Mhm.
I said this is who I'm going to be. So you have to sit back and go like, wow, what is my high power giving me as my talent, my skill set? And let me push forward on that because that's where I'm going to make the difference.
Yeah, that's
So
beautiful. And in comparison, was that saying that comparison is the robber of peace or something like that?
yeah. Mhm.
You know, when you're comparing in your mind, which part of the analytical mind for survival, the way the mind's wired, is to compare things. Is this safe? Is this not safe? We talked about that before, the whole stress reaction. So part
Yeah.
of that's kind of natural to an extent, right? But paying attention to it and being able to step back from it. And like you said, hey, I'm okay. It's good. It's
Mhm.
good that Josh has that. We need that. You know what I mean? And
Yep.
respecting and honoring the differences that we all have is so hard in society because we're not wired that way and we don't do that. It's like men and women. It's like women are different than men. Um,
Mhm.
but that's a beautiful thing. Can we embrace and honor the differences versus making one better than the other?
Exactly.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And
Mhm.
uh, it, and that's such a hard thing to do in our society. But I think mostly it's a hard thing to do because we're not accepting where we are and we're not comfortable, content in who we are and what our gifts are, whether
Mhm.
they appear like dramatic gifts or not, right? Whether they're just everyday things that we are, but we're still unique and beautiful in our humanity and our divinity of who we are as an individual, right? That's
Exactly.
unique and beautiful no matter what. It doesn't have to look like anything. Like that story with my mom. She's like, I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything particular. I didn't do anything special. She was a mom. She raised 3 kids. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Depending on which kid you talk to, that how successful she was in her raising would be different, right? We all
Yeah.
have our own unique experiences about how that was. Some of us think it was amazing and beautiful. Some
The
of us think it was terrible.
Mhm.
It is what, right? But but yet there was still this beauty and value, and she got to see that in that one dream, right? She still had meaning. Her life had meaning. Her life had value. Her life touched people in its purity and simplicity, right? It wasn't anything elaborate. And we have to, and that's hard for us, right? Because even when I'm doing this, I know my head says, how many people have watched it? You know what I mean? Are we going to touch with millions of people or, you know what I mean? And your brain gets
Mhm.
into that competitive comparison kind of
The,
thing.
and looking at, you talked about our gifts and stuff, and sometimes we fight those when it happens to us.
Yes,
We fight it
100%.
very hard, and
Totally. Because you want
I
somebody
was
else's gift. You don't want
Mhm.
yours.
I was wanting to go into hospital administration. That's what I went to school for. That was my degree. That's where I was going. That's where I headed, and wound up in Denver, for a few months because I was going to go there and change that hospital, and I'm going to be the CEO of Denver General Hospital someday. Yeah, woo! And it fell through. Job fell through.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there. I'm literally on my knees in my apartment, crying, going, God, what do you want me to do? I moved to Denver, did this, and everything's falling through. And I was a little DeNozo back upside the head. I was like, oh, that's why you had me substitute teach. That's why you had me do this, because I need to be a teacher. And everybody was saying, you should be a teacher. You're really good. You're really good. I'm like, that's stupid. Who wants to be a teacher? I don't want to be a teacher. Come back, go to work, go wind up being a teacher, and it was the best thing I ever did. I mean, they touched my lives, I touched their lives, and it's made a difference.
Yeah.
And so you got to accept. I mean, I didn't want to be a teacher. I was going to make hundreds of thousands of dollars being a CEO in a hospital. Come on, dude.
Yeah.
And I wound up being a teacher. I'm like,
Yeah.
and now that just sounded like I went downgrade. I didn't downgrade. I just got my skill set with my gifts and said, okay, let's move forward with what you're good at.
Yeah. What you were
Which
meant to
God,
do. What
yeah,
you were
God knew
meant
what I was
to do.
meant to do. I would know it.
Yep.
So,
Yep. and however that comes to us in terms of um, being brought to your awareness is different for everybody. But like you were saying, kind of accepting what you're good at. And
mhm.
I know that there are people that I know that are always looking at everybody else's, and it's common for all of us, right? God, I wish I was like that. I wish I could do
Yeah.
that. That person's so amazing at this. I want to be more like that. And it's like, no, 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 no. What are you good at? And
Mhm.
what you're good at brings value. It brings beauty, brings light into the world, and you don't need to worry about what anybody else is good at. Matter of fact, the more that you become confident or not grounded in that, like I'm good at this, the more you can be like, hey man, that's amazing what you do. You're so great at that, right? Because you're not threatened by it anymore. Because you
Mhm.
know that what they're the beauty of what they do so well, you know, is not
Which is
something
great.
that you're
Yeah.
great at, and that's okay, right? Because you feel
Yeah.
okay. But when you don't, when you're jealous, when you're envious, when you're feeling less than because of that, that's when we get, oh, they suck at that. Then you start nitpicking somebody or
Yeah.
attacking them in your mind,
Mhm.
right? And that's all from this place of, am I content and have I accepted? and allowed and embraced, right? We talked about that unconditional love, right? The characteristics, excuse me, the characteristics of unconditional love, allowing, accepting, embracing, and trusting, right? And if I can do that with myself, right? When I turn in, I look at and I
Yeah.
accept and I allow and I say, you know what? These are my gifts. These are who I am. This is what I am. And it may
Hmm.
not look like anybody else's. As a matter of fact, it's not supposed to look like anybody else's. That's what you bring into the universe, right? That's what you're bringing here is that unique flavor of whatever it is. Um, then the more that as you do that, that self love, universal, unconditional loving of yourself, then you feel safe and at peace and grounded. And then it's
Yeah.
natural that you like really see the beauty in everybody else's diversity, whatever that
Hmm.
diversity is, you know.
Like going back to Steve's text. By the way, Steve Saltzman, thank you, buddy. He's the one that sent me that text. That's that, accepting that you are just the river, just the river. But how does a river become an ocean? How does an ocean become an ocean? Well, it needs water to flow into it, and
Yep.
that river is flowing towards the ocean.
Yep.
So you are part of it in a different way. So it's
Yep.
all just accepting where you are. So I totally with that. I love it.
Yep. Um, and when you're sharing your story about being in Colorado, right?
Hmm.
Uh, going on your knees. Um, I will say this, and I won't get me. I have my thing with like religion. Uh, this idea of prayer and getting on your knees. I will say that when I was going through my addiction, that is one of the things I did. Was I got it when I was doing the Course in Miracles, and I would get on my fucking knees. It's gonna make me want to cry right now. I would get on my
Hmm.
fucking knees. So essentially, it's about the power of surrender. And for me, that act of getting on my knees as a man, as a dude, you know, as a fuck you, I got this, I can
Hmm.
handle my shit, you know, to get to that place where you're literally saying, I don't have a clue. And at that time, I don't think I even knew what the 12 steps really was or whatever. Maybe I did, but I don't know. There was something about that act of
Uh-huh.
getting on my knees and saying, okay, maybe I don't have this. And really like surrendering in my heart that, okay, you want me to do something, you better show me. 'Cause
Yes.
I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. But kind of releasing and there's a purity in that moment, right? And so I think that that's what in the church that active, and it becomes rote and it becomes dead ritual, and then people are doing it, but they're not feeling it. But there's
It's
true power
yeah. But
in doing that.
if you're just doing it as an act
Yeah,
to say, hey, look what I'm on my knees and praying, then it's not working. That's not
right,
and I would
right,
even in my church we would say that like, no, you can't just do an act. Oh, it's gonna work. So I'm on my knees, or I
yeah,
gave you
yeah,
$100 and played it. I'm good.
right, right.
Are you doing it from your heart? Are you really
Yeah.
going down? Yeah.
Like, I was in my bedroom when I did it. You were in your bedroom when you did it, or in
Hmm.
Denver, right? You weren't in a church.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where you do
No.
it. It's the act. It's that.
Hmm.
It's the sincerity. It's the release. It's this. It's an energy. And I think that a lot of people, when they pray, they say, "God, tell me what I can need to do so I can fix it. God, show me
Hmm.
what I need to do so I can fix it." And if you
Yep.
really think about that from an ego perspective, that's still your ego. I'm still in charge.
I'm gonna
Let me
fix it.
help. Let me be in charge. You just give me the plan.
Hmm.
Versus, I surrender completely, you know, I give up my egoic mind. Okay, you give me an idea, direct me where do you want me to say? What do you want me to do? Where do you want me to go? That kind of idea. Um,
Hmm.
there's a real kind of a release in that process. There's a there
That's
to me,
that's
there's
a true
literally an
surrender.
energy. Yeah, there's an energy that comes in through the top of the head, and drops into the heart, and boom, and there's a radiance. Um, I know that the first time I started doing that through the lessons in the Course in Miracle, I remember the first time I was doing one of the lessons in the course, and it was like, bam, this energy came over me. And the feeling that I got in the middle of the body shop office in Superior in San Francisco was safety. I felt safe. It was weird. I felt this energy, this loving, beautiful
Mhm.
energy come over me, and I felt completely safe on a level that I think I'd never really felt before. whew, he's getting to me again. It was just like, wow, what is this? And I was tripping on the vibration, and I was like, and
Mhm.
again, as a dude, as a guy, some martial artist, all this stuff. What was all military in the military? All of that was about combat,
Mhm.
about defense, about strength, superior firepower. I'm safe because I can kick your ass, not because of
Mhm.
anything else, right?
Yeah.
Versus surrender, where it's just like the course has a lesson that says, "In my defenselessness, my safety lies."
'Cause you're giving them up. You're not, "Okay, I'm no longer in control. Wait a minute."
Yeah, and I
No.
hated that lesson. I was like, "How the fuck does that work? There's no freaking way in my defenselessness, my safety. Are you fucking kidding me right now?" And you know what I mean? Because it's so counter to everything that we're geared for in the world and how we're raised and how we're taught and everything.
Mhm.
But it's it's shifting how you're looking at everything and how you're approaching everything and all of that. And
Mhm.
there, yes, when you know when sometimes I think, like I said, sometimes I think people pray and they're not really surrendering, not really releasing, they're not really doing anything. They still want their egoic mind to stay in control of everything. And
Mhm.
there is this shift that happens when you do that profoundly and sincerely that is completely um, a different level. And it brings a sense of safety, a sense of peace, a sense of calmness into anything that's happening. It doesn't even matter anymore. Um,
Mhm.
but again, that makes you more efficient and more effective in all of the stuff of the world that you're dealing with because you're quiet,
Mhm.
you're
And
at peace,
you can
and then you
feel it,
can
you can
see
hear it
clearly,
at that
and then
point.
you can
Yeah.
think clearly, and you can make better
Mhm.
judgments and decisions, right?
Yeah, because you slow it's that slowing of the mind we've talked about. It slows things down a little bit and let your brain go, "Okay, whew, calm down." And being willing to say, when you do that full surrender, go like, "I just don't know what to do." Okay, let's start from ground zero. Here's where we go. Because now you've cleared this mess up.
Yeah,
You've basically come to that big spot of, I'm done. I need to stop playing this game and figure out what to do.
right. And so that's what surrender does. True surrender does, and it's not. It's kind of an interesting thing. It's like how many times you have to do it. How do you do it? What does work? I mean, I think
Hmm.
sometimes people have to play around with that thing. You know what I mean? And there is a certain kind of. Uh, I think for you in Denver was probably a very sincere, profound moment where bam just happened.
Hmm.
And for me, it was in my place in Burlingame, and just Howard Street and Howard Avenue, Burlingame, and I was just boom, and I went down, and there was, I think it was very, very, but I think for both of us, there's a sincerity in that moment, and then things start to unfold differently. I think
Hmm.
your life starts to be changed and how you do that. Um, Yeah. So again, to me, it doesn't matter where it happens or how it happens. It just matters that it happens, and that's what I was saying. That there's
Yeah.
certain things that are almost like a technology. It's like a thing. It's like a technique. There's something that has to happen. How you approach it, how you get there, what you do doesn't honestly matter. Everyone can do it differently. Are you going to do it in a church with a minister? Absolutely will work. That's the way
Hmm.
most people do it. But are there other ways? I wasn't anywhere near a church, or you know what I mean? And yet it still worked. But there was this sincerity and a purity, and I think that asking and that surrender that
Yeah.
allowed, again, of course, has this thing about um, uh, you need a tiny window of willingness. It doesn't take a whole lot because the light can rush in and blow that thing wide open, but you have to open up
Yeah.
that door because you
Hmm.
have free will. You can say, I'm not doing this. I'm going to do it my way the whole time, and you can do that. But when you finally say, okay, and you open the window, light rushes in.
Yeah. And with that, going on the different scenario, as I didn't fight it because I wanted to be working in hospitals. That was my goal.
Right.
And at that point, that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
And I was substitute teaching, going through stuff, substitute teaching, and the teachers that I taught for said, "Oh, you need to do this." At one time, I went into Corona del Sol, and I was like, "Okay, go and sit down, sub, make my money, go home. Go to work at Kiwanis." Well, walked in there and he has all these geometry books and he goes, okay, this is what you're teaching today. He had little notes. I'm like, what do you mean teaching today? I'm like, what does he want me to do? I'm like, teach him? I don't know what to do. And he called me the next day. He's like, dude, you need to be a teacher. I said, no, 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 no. Because he goes, I've been teaching this for several days and they've been having a hard time grasping what I'm telling them. He goes, you told them the same thing I told them, but you said it in a different way.
And they
And then all of
got
a
it.
sudden they got it. He goes, you don't get it. I'm like, so went on my way. My old principal, Mr. Lyons, you need to be a teacher. Nope, don't listen to him. Don't listen. So I was doing my thing. So then once I said, what do you want me to do? And then that came to me as go back, be a teacher. So I had to go back to school. So made a phone call and to Gary Allen at City of Phoenix. I said, I'm going to come back. I'm going to go to school and want to be a teacher. And I go, if you have any job, I'll do maintenance. I'll do whatever, I'll clean toilets just to get some money. He goes, just get back here and we'll put food on your table and get you through school.
Wow.
That just, wow, open up. I'm going like, okay, this
Wow.
is meant to be. Then that new nucleus, as we talked about, the reason I brought this up is that we talked about having a circle of people, having friends, having support.
You called
I
it a wolf pack. I like
The
that
wolf
term.
pack. Yeah, wolf pack. That's what Pastor Darren. Shout out to Pastor Darren.
I like
And
that
this,
term.
we have shirts that call our wolf pack,
Yeah, it's beautiful.
and so yeah, I do have. I thought I had a shirt at one point. I thought I sent it to you. Because he had wolf packs, and so I bought mine for my wolf pack. So you will have a shirt if I haven't gotten to you yet. I'm surprised, but that I had a good wolf pack when I was trying to be, go through hospital administration, but it wasn't like strong because that wasn't where I was supposed to be. And
Yeah.
all of a sudden, when I decided to come back and go to school, get my post back, um, the it was so strong, so much support, and it was just like, whoa, everyone's doing this for me. I mean, this is all falling right into place
Yep.
because that's what was supposed to happen.
Yep.
And I had to surrender everything and
Yep.
just get to that bottom level. So
I feel like this is like that. I feel like us doing this podcast felt like it was flowing and kind of meant to be in this certain weird way. And we've gotten
mhm,
both feedback from different people. And, it just feels like for whatever reason, we're supposed to be having these conversations and putting
yeah.
this stuff out there and sharing it with people.
Yeah, and I want people to know that it's not easy. It's scary. You think when I said, "Yeah, I'm gonna go back and be a teacher," I was like, "Oh, this be awesome." I was scared to death. I don't know. I'm like, "What in the world am I freaking doing?" I mean, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do this. But quote unquote surrendering again and going like, you know what? It's going to take its place. It's going to be okay. Sometimes you don't see that, down the road. You don't see that third stoplight. You only see the first stoplight. It's like, yeah, but that third stoplight is where the big store is that you've been trying to go to or whatever. That's you need to get to there, but you don't see that yet. And so that's what I've learned in my life is like, I don't know why I'm doing this. Why do you got me being a swim coach? What in the world do you want me to do with this? I know nothing. And then here I am down the road, all this stuff. I'm like, well, I didn't see that coming.
Right.
Well, no, because you can't. You're looking too far down the road.
Yep.
So trust whatever comes when you do surrender and you have a feel or a thought, look through it, trust it, and go, you don't know the outcome at the end. But if I always said, no, I don't want to be a teacher, no, I don't want to be a coach, what I've done, what world would have
Right.
had been different
Right.
for me?
And
So
that's beautiful, dude. And then there's a lot of people that are saying right now, especially even for the folks that are like psychic and can see things and they are tuned
mhm.
in to different frequencies and that the energy right now is you get to see the next step. That's it.
Yep, that's it.
Exactly what you're talking about. And that's about
Mhm.
faith, right?
Yep,
Trust, surrender, all of these things that
yep,
come into play. It's just like, all right, I'm feeling right now that I should do this, but I can't tell where that's going to go. That's okay. Do that.
yep,
Do that next thing and let it go. And that's
yep.
one of the hardest things is take a step, let it go, take a step, let it go, take a step, let it go.
Mhm.
I was even
Yeah.
listening to someone talking about, um, and it was actually tarot stuff, and I'm not that into it, but I've dabbled in it, right? And it was this
Uh-huh.
woman doing these readings and whatever, and she was just like, and it was for general people, and you could pick like what thing, and I was picking, you'd have like 3 tarot decks with these things, and you pick one, and then they would do a reading on what that was, and you would pick it in your mind. It was just a general thing for whole group audiences, right?
Uh-huh.
And sometimes those things would be, and I don't do them very often, but I did it one day. This was about last June, maybe, and I was doing this YouTube uh, courses, which I still am doing. I'm still working on that and all that, but it's
Mhm.
selling this course, this course on YouTube, and it was how to develop it, how to market it, how to do all this stuff, right? And
Yeah.
it said in this reading, and again, it's not for me specifically, it's just a generic one. I picked that deck or whatever. And in it, it says, you've started a project and you're working on this project and you're supposed to start on that project and you're supposed to go down that path, but it's going to lead you in a different direction and you're going to be doing something totally different. But you
Mm.
have to start that project in order to start it. And it totally feels like, to me, doing that YouTube thing, I got the mic, I got this, I got all this stuff so I could do that project. But instead, it's me and you doing this.
It's turned the whole other way. Yeah. Mhm.
You know what I mean? And I'm like,
'Cause
oh,
yeah,
that was
this
what
is
that.
where I wanted to go, but I went this way.
Yeah. And I thought it was going this way, but it's going
Mhm.
this way. And it's like,
Mhm.
okay, but are you open to making those adjustments and changes? Or is your ego mind saying, no, I got to go that way and I'm going to
You're
force it,
stuck.
stuff like that?
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, yep. Yep. Yep.
So, yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things is just being able to one of my devotionals I wanna talk about, one of them it talked about, uh trying to look down in the future because if you're trying to look too down in the future, you're going to forget about what's happening today. And so it says, I put a fog over in front of you so you can't see because
Yeah.
you could have to look at your feet and go
Yeah.
step
Yeah,
by
and all you
step.
can see is the next step in front of your
Yeah.
foot, and
Hmm.
that's it, and then the
Yep.
rest is trust and all this stuff, and just like, "Fuck,
Hmm. And it says
alright, here we
it
go."
says it says and what does it say? It says I slowly take the fog away as you do your steps and start
Yep,
to realize where you need to go. And
yep,
it's like, oh, that's real.
yeah,
Because we try to say, but I want to do this. If I went in, to be a teacher and said, okay, I want to go, I want to be a superintendent. Well, you can't go there, dude. You got to be here in the classroom, work your way through because you're not a good teacher yet. You got to be a good teacher, work your way through. Um, and I always wanted to be an administrator. Never did, never went into it because I'm like, wow, this is too much fun here. If
I'm
I
having too
focused
much
on
fun.
that, yeah,
Yeah,
if I focused on that, I would have been doing what I needed to do now.
yeah,
And so so it's been kind of cool ride just to say, no, I don't know where I am right now, but I'm enjoying the ride at this moment and
right,
not going to say, I want to be there because I got to get through this and enjoy this. If I'm thinking about that, I'm not enjoying this.
right,
So, yeah.
that's awesome. That is, easier said than done.
Uh huh.
It's easier said than done, there's no doubt about it. Um, it can create fear. It generates
Hmm.
fear because you're stepping into the unknown. They talk
Hmm.
about that whole idea that the kind of like the devil that or you can be living in this
Yeah.
limited space, but you know it and you're familiar and you're comfortable with it, and stepping into something that's unknown, even if, like you said, three stop signs down the road, but you can't see what it is. Three is going to be joy and beauty and happiness and
Hmm.
you know money and everything, whatever, right? But
Whatever
it's
it
three
is.
steps
Yeah.
down, but you can't see that, but you got to take that first step, and it's so scary to take that step that you don't.
Hmm.
Many people don't. They'd
Yeah.
rather stay. It's that Plato's cave thing. I don't know if you ever heard that story about Plato's cave. um anyway, well, maybe I'll get into that later. Oh, I was gonna say,
Okay.
in terms of the fear and stuff, when I was doing the Course in Miracles, Scott was
Hmm.
leading it, and there was a group of about 8 or so 10 of us that were pretty dedicated to this path. And he was staying with me, and within 6 months, or probably 3 months down the road, he says, I'm moving back to Seattle. I'm going back to my old job, and I'm moving.
Hmm.
And I was just like, and we were and he so I knew that that was going to happen a couple months down the road. And I'm like, what are you doing? This whole group just came together, and you could tell that it was like there was some energy in that group, and it was some beautiful
Hmm.
people. Like I said, it's like soul family to me now, some of my closest friends. But at the time, it was just coming together, right? But you could feel it. There's something special in that wolf pack, right? And I was just like, dude, what are you doing? Who's going to lead the group? And he's like, you are. And I swear, full body shaking, convulsions and bawling
Mhm.
like a fucking baby. Like, I just started sobbing. Like, cannot do it, dude. Cannot do it. Cannot do it. There's no freaking way. Not going to do it. Can't do it. And then Scott was so influential in my life in terms of guiding me through these things because he's like, yeah, you are. it's you. And I'm like, well, what happens if it's not me? Why not somebody else? And he goes, the group won't blast if it's not you. It's you.
Oh,
And I was just
wow.
like, and I'm like, ugh. So like a couple weeks go by, and I'm like, oh, okay, okay. I can facilitate a talk of a group, right? I'll facilitate conversations. I'm not the
Mhm.
leader. I'll just facilitate this thing. And I'm like, but who's going to lead the meditations? He's like, you are. Same fucking thing. Full body shake, start bawling, crying. Like I'm just like, I mean, I'm
Wow.
talking like
Yeah.
convulsing, crying. Cannot do it. Can't do it. Can't do it, dude. Can't do it. There's no way.
Hmm.
I'm not gonna lead a meditation in public. There's no way. I can't do it. And then a couple weeks later, calmed down, and and then I ended up, taking over the group, leading the meditation every week. Blah blah blah. Became a huge part of my life. Um,
Mhm.
Changed all kinds of stuff for me, right? And like you were saying, guided meditations. We can do some on this podcast one of these days. I've
Yeah.
put them out. I have helped people with it, shared some, and people have, there's obviously, everyone touches different groups of people and there's all kinds of different styles out there, but there are definitely
Yep.
people that have felt really um, connected to those meditations that I've done for them and done and put
Yep.
out there and shared. So maybe we'll put some out in the future. I think that would actually be kind of cool.
Yeah.
But that whole healing thing, to be able to do hands-on healing, all of that stuff came out of this initial thing, which
Mm.
was terrifying. and
Yeah.
and caused all kinds of tears and convulsions and
It's
freaking
that
out.
fear. It's that
Yeah,
fear of,
so much fear.
yeah, but
So
you
much
jump
fear.
through it eventually.
But
Yeah.
then yeah, you gotta step through the thing and
Yeah.
then all of a sudden
Mhm.
this stuff on the other side unfolds and you don't even realize what that is. Um, so
Yeah,
anyway,
this is from this episode that we've been talking about. Um, I've always, of course, I'm the teacher. Sorry, I got to do this. This is the take it with you. Go home. This is your
here's
homework.
the lesson plan.
That's my job, I guess. I'm realizing that's
Perfect.
kind of like I'm
Perfect,
doing
dude.
that
Perfect.
naturally. It's kind of like, oh no, I'm getting a thing for myself. That's not good, but it is good. So the thing I say this week is you may not need to go total surrender at this point. That's not what we're saying. Not everybody needs to go there. But if something comes up, you can think like, hey, am I fighting this? If someone asks me to do something, am I fighting it because it's my fear, or kind of surrender and go, is this something that a direction I need to go? And if it's something that you know nothing about, be willing to take a step and try it and see where you are. So it's
Yeah.
that we're not saying go deep surrender. You don't have to. I mean, if you need to, go there. I mean, that's what I'm saying. But
And how about this, dude?
sometimes, mhm,
How about just asking for help?
there you go.
On
Okay,
top,
good answer.
right in line with what you were saying. You don't have to go
Hmm.
full surrender. Hey, you know what? I could use some help here. And I
Hmm.
don't even care how you phrase that or who you're asking. Just say, hey, could use a little help here.
Hmm. Yeah,
Hey, Mike, whatever, however you want to feel, whatever
a,
that
a
that
higher power
connection
or
is.
feel. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, higher power, higher self, my higher self. That's
Hmm.
a thing, right? You just say, hey, you know what? Whoever's out there, my team, got my
Yeah.
back. Energetically, whatever you want to call it. Hey,
And if you're,
angels, whatever you want to call it.
yeah,
Hey, give me a little help.
mhm,
I could use some help here. Whatever,
exactly.
and
And then
just
once you
put that
once
energy.
you do surrender and have an idea where you're going, find a wolf pack. Start
Yep,
your support group, because that's I
yep,
mean, when I went through the divorce, I already had my support group,
yep,
because they were my friends. But it was all of a sudden they became whoop, a whole
yep.
different group. That wolf pack was they were all my friends, and all of a sudden they came
Yep.
in,
They
sucked
circled
in.
around and
Yeah.
protected you.
And so it's kind of, it's kind of like that. Hey, we got you. We got you. We got you.
Yeah.
So find that. Make sure you find that once you start stepping out and seeing things, or you're going through something deep. Find that wolf pack to help lift you up and
And
get you through it.
and there are teachings that would say that will happen naturally as you go through and
Yes.
shift. That you don't even have
Hmm.
to try to find it, and you don't have to say, "Oh, well, I have these friends, and all they care about is money, and whatever, and
Mhm.
and they're not very happy, but they're, you know what I mean. And I'm
Yeah.
in this group, and you're going through this transformation, and you're wanting to look at things differently, and you're shifting. Then those people naturally fall away, and then a new group of people that are
Yeah.
energetically in vibration with what you're looking to do and where you're going will kind of come into alignment with you and
Yeah.
be a new wolf pack. So sometimes sometimes there's a process of letting go, right? Letting go of the
Mhm.
old patterns so that you can step into the new. You're taking
Yeah.
that next step. Sometimes
Exactly.
there are people that are, in a specific place in their life and they're not changing, and you're growing and changing. Sometimes you have to let go of those people,
Mhm.
of that group, in order to embrace a new version. And maybe we could talk about that next. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think we got a couple of guests that we'd like to have on. We've talked to a couple of people,
Yeah.
so we might have guests next week.
Yeah.
Um,
We need to figure
or
this out.
or yeah, so we'll either we'll do a guest if we can get the guests to come on, or we'll go ahead and go with talking those next steps. So,
Yeah, I like the idea of bringing somebody on. So we both have friends and people that we've come across in our lives that have some really powerful and interesting stories, and that's one of the things we've always said is that
hmm
we're kind of
yeah,
talking about specific, like a way, if you will, a specific pattern that has worked for both of us, but it's not the only way, right? And so we'd love to hear other
yeah,
people's journeys through challenges, or
totally.
what they've done, how they've come to find a deeper level of peace, and whatever they've done for that, and hear what other people have to say. So, if you're listening to this and you have been through a journey like that, and you would love to share it, please, put it in the comments, or you can message or email either one of us, or reach out to us privately, however that works for you. I'm
hmm
sure most of the people that are listening know how to get in touch with us, or just put it in the comments that you'd be interested. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. That'd be great. Well,
yeah,
awesome. I think if you definitely go on and make sure you subscribe again, because then you'll get the kick every time we download every Tuesday,
yeah. And if
and
you listen to this on YouTube and you like it, please hit like. I think that actually makes a
yeah,
big difference in terms of
that
having
helps.
people. So, if you're already
Yep.
subscribed, just the like button, and or put a comment, say, hey, this is, I like this, or I didn't like this, or whatever. I think the comments and the liking actually helps algorithms in terms of
Yeah.
people, it getting shared and stuff like that. So we appreciate everybody who's
Yep.
listening in on continuing down this journey with us.
So
Um,
this week, make sure you be able to surrender, be able to ask for help, and be able to take the baby step. Don't look down the road. Look at today, and worry about
that's,
tomorrow.
that's beautiful,
On that
teacher Dave.
note, yep. On that note,
It's a wrap.
that's coaching, and teacher. Yeah. So
Yes.
yeah, on that one, hope you guys have a great week. Hope you have a great smile on your face and have fun this week.
Yeah. Don't forget to have fun for sure.
Yep, for sure.
And then we'll hopefully see you next week. You take care. That's a wrap. Next level real talk with Sheldon and Dave. Yeah.